Namaste and welcome to this calming, relaxing hip opening practice. So we will remain very close to the earth, being grounded in this practice. So we are going to start in Balasana, child's pose. So you sit back to your heels and your knees might be apart or together. Just allowing your chest to reach forward and then releasing down. Shoulder blades relaxing onto your back. Feeling grounded and steady. Then slowly come onto your hands and knees. So the heels of your hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. And then take a very deep inhale and look up. Lift your sitting bones, and on your out breath, round your back, your hip drops. So inhaling, you look forward, broaden across your collarbones. And then navel to spine as you breathe out, rounding the back. Inhale again, shoulders away from your ears, and this time downward dog as you exhale. So you can have your feet quite wide if you feel a bit tight in your back body and your hamstrings. Allow your heels to release towards the earth. Your sitting bones lifting high. Lengthen the whole of your back body. And start to walk your hands towards you, so you come into a standing forward bend. Outer edges of your feet parallel, your knees soft or even bent. Maybe grab hold of your opposite elbow. Just allow your head to drop. Again, feel the lengthening of the spine here. Bring your hands down to the earth again. You're going to walk into a downward facing dog. Just take a moment to stretch it back, hips lift away from the rib cage. Take a very deep inhale here, and then bring your knees down, exhale. Keep your toes tucked under, sit back onto your heels, and then interlacing your fingers, reach your arms up towards the ceiling, and then just stretch to your right side, and then stretching to the left side. Put your arms all the way up, and then maybe slightly back and all the way down again. From here, stretch your legs out in front of you into Dandasana, staff pose. So sit onto the top of your sitting bone. So if you roll to the back of your sitting bone, maybe bend your knees here. You're going to bend your right knee to your chest and then drop the knee down to the floor. And then really elongate the spine again and reach your hands towards your left foot, left shin. Maybe bend your knee or use a belt here. So think of lengthening rather than rounding, extending your chest forward rather than releasing the hip down. Let your shoulders relax. And then on your next in-breath, walk your hands towards you again. And then bend your right knee to your chest. Stretch it out in front of you. And then inhale, bend your left knee. And exhale, drop the knee down towards the earth, heel towards your groin. This is an opening in the hip joint, not in the knee, so there should be no pain in your knees here. Again, maybe you just sit up nice and tall here. Otherwise, shift to the front, slightly to the front of your sitting bones, lengthening the spine towards your right toes. You notice that the in-breath will lengthen the spine, and as you exhale, you release a little bit deeper into the pose. As you stay in the pose for a little while, you notice that your breath is moving your body. The in-breath, lift yourself all the way up again. And this time, bend your left knee to your chest. And then take your leg out in front of you. We come into Dandasana again. You're going to bend your right knee, take the foot all the way across your left thigh, so the right heel is to the outside of your left hip. Right leg is bent on top of your left leg remains straight. Again, maybe you just sit up nice and tall, maybe you shift to the front of your sitting bones. You almost come into a forward bend here. Lengthening the spine with an inhale and softening on an out breath. Come back up to sitting nice and tall. Uncross your legs and stretch your right leg out in front. Then bend your left knee, take the foot to the outside of your right leg, and then draw the left foot to the outside of your right hip. Again, lengthen the spine, and on your out breath, start to soften a little bit deeper. On your next in-breath, walk your hands towards you again, coming all the way up to sitting. Now this time keep your left leg where it is, but bend your right knee underneath it. So you come into gomukasana legs. So your left knee is aiming to be right on top of your right knee, and the heels to the outside of the opposite hip. Once again, maybe you just sit nice and tall. Maybe you start to extend your chest forward. Stay really grounded through your seat. And keep thinking of extending your chest forward. So even though you're folding into a forward bend, there's still space in your front body. There's still space for you to breathe. Very, very gently come all the way up again on your next in-breath. Once you're up, take your hands behind you, and then you can cross your legs in the opposite direction. So right knee is on top of your left knee, right heel to the outside of your left hip, and left heel to the outside of your right hip. And maybe just stay on your fingertips for a little bit, just to really find that your seat is connected to the earth. And once you feel connected to the earth, once you have that element of being grounded and steady, then you can surrender, then you can let go, then you can release. Soften your breath. Soften your shoulder blades. And on your next inhale, you're going to come all the way up to sitting again. We'll stay seated. You're going to place your right shin, so the lower part of your right leg, parallel to the front of your mat, and then place your left lower leg directly on top of your right lower leg. Your left heel is over your left heel is over your right knee, and your left knee over your right heel. So maybe again you just sit up nice and tall. If your knees are releasing towards the earth, maybe you can start to release forward and downwards with your chest. Maybe on your fingertips, maybe on your forearms. Maybe you're releasing all the way down to the earth. If this just feels a little bit too intense today, maybe you're just sitting cross-legged, really wide, so there's a big space. It's almost like a big triangle between your groin and your lower legs. And slowly inhale as you come all the way up to sitting again. Very, very gently we're going to bring the legs in the opposite way, so your left lower leg is underneath your right lower leg. You can heel directly on top of knee, knee directly on top of heel. Sit up nice and tall, and maybe stay here, maybe sit cross-legged. Maybe start to extend your chest forward. And then inhale, really create space between your pubic bone and your heart. And on your exhale, allow your heart to extend forward and release into the earth. Whichever variation you are in, just allow your body to breathe. So if there's quite an intense stretch, you notice if you need to ease off a little bit, or you notice if you can breathe into that space, allowing your body to breathe deeper. Inhale completely and exhale fully. Imagining you can breathe right into your hips, into your sacrum, the very lower part of your back. Slowly breathe in, and you come all the way up to sitting again. And we'll come into pigeon pose. So you're going to have your left leg where it is. So left lower leg is parallel to the front of the mat. And then you can take your right leg behind you. So stretching the right leg behind you. Left knee to the left side of the mat. Left foot to the right side of the mat. Maybe you stay on your fingertips here. Maybe you stay on your forearms. Maybe you release your chest forward and then releasing downwards. Letting this be a practice of complete surrender. Feeling the stability and support from the earth beneath you. Allowing your body to inhale and to exhale. Slowly inhale as you come all the way up again. Maybe you stretch into a child's pose or stretch into a downward facing dog. Lifting your left leg behind you to stretch the front of your left hip. Maybe even lift the hip a little bit higher. And if you lift that left hip, square your hips before you place that left foot to the floor. And then lift your right leg behind you. And then from here you're going to bring the right knee forward. You come into pigeon pose again with the right lower leg towards the front of the mat. So maybe your shin is parallel to the front of the mat. Maybe your right heel moves closer towards you. Again, remembering this is a movement in the hip joints and not a movement in your knee. Your knee is just going to flex or stretch, and here it's flexed. Again, once you're in the pose, allow your body to breathe. And sometimes when we let go of holding on, we can really start to surrender into the pose, whatever pose we are in. Yes, when we have set up into pigeon pose, we can truly release. And maybe you can allow yourself to go a little bit deeper. Inhale as you lift your chest all the way off the floor again. And then tucking your left toes under, you're going to come back into your downward facing dog. And maybe you want to stay here. Maybe you want to come into a child's pose. You can go ahead and you can extend the right leg behind you. Lift that right leg Maybe even bend the knee, lift the right hip a little bit higher. Squaring your hips before you come back into your downward facing dog. And this time just take your feet wide. You're going to walk your hands to your feet as you come back into a squat. So keep your feet apart, toes maybe pointing slightly outwards. Your seat releasing towards the earth and the chest lifting up. And then place your left fingertips to the floor, reach your right arm to the ceiling. So you come into a spinal twist in your squat. Maybe you reach your arms away from each other, maybe you bind behind your left leg. And then come back into the squat, palms together in front of your heart. And then you can bring your right fingertips to the floor, reach your left arm towards the ceiling. So reaching your arms in opposite directions. And keeping your knees moving away from each other. And then slowly bring your palms together in front of your chest again. Keeping your seat releasing down at the crown of your head, lifting up. Place your hands back onto the mat as you walk into your downward dog. And again, maybe you want to stay here, maybe in a child's pose, or we'll flow. So inhale into plank position. And exhale, lower down, chaturanga to the floor. Inhale as you lift your chest into your upward dog or cobra, and downward dog as you exhale. So let's do this again. So once you're ready, on your in-breath, move into plank position. Heels of your hands under your shoulders. Lower down and come into your back bend. Downward dog on an out breath. Very nice. Now this time you're going to come into a plank pose, but you're coming all the way down to the earth. You can reach your arms out in front of you, place your palms together, release your heels. Prostration pose, offering the practice. Releasing completely. Roll all the way onto your back. Keep your knees bent, feet underneath your knees and maybe a little bit away from your knees. Knees and feet hip distance. So let's get into the front body a little bit more. So on an inhale, start to lift your tailbone towards your knees, your hips, and part of your back is off the mat. You're feeling your back body moving to your front body, Siddha Bandhasana, bridge pose. Enjoy the space in the front of your hips, abdomen, and chest. Take a very deep in-breath and slowly release it. Exhale. Keep your knees bent and feet on the floor, the back of your neck long. We'll come up again. So inhaling, lifting your hips, lower back, middle back. Maybe interlacing your fingers underneath, you're rolling onto your shoulders. Finding space in front of your hips, and space for your breath. Take a very deep inhale and slowly, vertebra by vertebra, rolling down. And take a moment here, allowing your thigh bones to release into your hip joints, feeling steady and grounded through the pelvis. Now bringing your feet together, your knees can drop apart. The soles of your feet rest against each other. And your knees are releasing towards the earth. Maybe your hands are by your side, your lower abdomen. Just feeling your body breathing. Slowly bring your knees together again. And hug your knees to your chest, keeping the tailbone towards the back of the mat, the crown of your head to the front. You come into happy baby pose if that feels appropriate in your hips and your knees today. So lifting your heels off your buttocks, soles of your feet facing towards the ceiling. And slowly release your legs again, hugging your knees to your chest, and rolling onto your right side. And then slowly come all the way up to sitting. Now just take a moment to come into a comfortable cross-legged position, enjoying all this space you created in your pelvis and your hips. Really feel yourself grounded here. So your legs and your seat, your sitting bones are in contact with the earth. Feeling solid and stable. Feel spacious across the pelvis. Feel strength through your core. Feel the breath in your chest. The sound and the space in the back of your throat. Bring your palms together into a prayer position. And take a moment here to honor your body, your breath, and the time you've been able to take out to practice. Namaste. Thank you.